Do you feel your digital music is too digital and sterile? Well, I guess we have the answer. Just need to spend $200 and you can get a little tiny tube amp called the Xduoo MH-02. Alright, so what I have in my hand here is basically Xduoo's latest tiny tube hybrid amp. So this is the Xduoo MH-02. It is a hybrid tube amp, which means that it uses tubes in one stage of the amplification. So it amplifies the smaller signals using a tube, and then the power required to drive your headphones is done by a transistor inside. So apparently it's a Class A transistor circuit, so it's supposed to sound better than a Class AB. And it does 1300 milliwatts of power to your headphones. So I guess the predecessor to this was, I think, the MT603, which is somewhat similar to this, but the unique thing about this new one is that it has a built-in DAC. So the DAC in this is the CS43198 chip. It's only a single chip, it's not a double or 4 or 8. It does up to 384 kilohertz sampling rate, and let's give this a test today. Alright, so let's unbox the MH-02. So this is the box. It's pretty nice. It shows a picture of the MH-02, the tubes over here. I've already unboxed it, so I've removed the foam. There's some foam protecting everything. So you can see once you've taken out the foam, on the left would be the MH-02. So we can just remove it. So this is what it is. So as you can see, the tubes are already pre-installed. So it's very nice. The quality is very nice. Okay. And it comes with a standard switching power adapter. So this thing is basically 100 to 240 volt power adapter. It outputs 12 volts at 2 amps. Standard IEC connector, so you can use your own power cables. It comes with whatever power cable suitable for your region. So we're in Singapore, so this is the British plug, the 3-pin plug. And it comes with a pretty nice USB, but I'm not using this now because I'm just using a USB-C to USB-C cable. So let's get a look at the unit itself. Alright, so this is the Xduoo MH-02. So this is a tube-based hybrid amplifier. So what we have here are two tubes. This is the 6J1 tube. It's a Beijing tube over here that's been pre-installed. So it's called a 6J1 or 5654 or a 403A, 403B tube, depending on the brand that you get. So they're all interchangeable, 5654 or 6J1. So on the front, what we have is the volume knob, 3.5 mm, 4.4 mm, and your 6.35 mm headphone jacks. So this is not a balanced amp, so this one is just for convenience. It is a single-ended amplifier, but you do have the convenience of all the jacks in the front, and you cannot use any adapters. Alright, so this is a gain switch. So the gain switch, when it's pressed in like this is low gain, and if you press it out, this is high gain. So I think the low gain is about supposedly plus 12 dB, the high gain is plus 18 or something like that. I found that for whatever usage I have, I think low gain is sufficient, so pressed in. And this is the nice volume knob. So for the volume knob, I noticed some channel imbalance from about here to about here. So once you exceed maybe like 9 o'clock, I guess you're good. So try to not use the amp at very low volume like this, because one side may be louder than the other side due to the mechanism and the port inside here. As you get higher up, this part is pretty okay, but once you get to 3 o'clock, it gets very, very loud as you turn it up. So I guess you shouldn't be going so high also. If you need to be going so high, you can use high gain. If you are on high gain and going so high, I think there's something wrong somewhere and you shouldn't be doing this. So basically, volume should be right about running from here to here for normal use, and you should be good. There's not much channel imbalance, and I couldn't hear any discrepancy in the volume left and right. So on the back of the unit, we have a power switch. So on off, the 12 volt input, USB in, and aux in and aux out. So I think the aux in and aux out is if you want to use this as the DAC, and then in is if you want to use this as a headphone amplifier. Alright, so this is what it looks like. The build quality is excellent. It has a very nice textured finish. There's nothing sharp. Everything fits well. There's a nice weight to it. There's some silicone dots at the bottom. It's not going to slide around your desk. It's pretty solid, pretty grippy. Alright, so this is how you use the device. So basically the device is plugged in, you turn on the power and you have to wait about 30 seconds before it clicks on. There's a relay inside that actually turns on after 30 seconds to make sure there's no popping sound and to give the tube some time to warm up before you actually get sound out of it. So I've plugged in a USB-C cable to the back port. This is just a USB-C to USB-C cable. So I'm going to just plug this one into my phone like so. So once you plug it into your phone, you can see that the light around the volume knob lights up. So blue color signifies that it's actually running 44.1. And if you go to high res, which is 96, it actually goes purple. So I think this roughly gives you an idea of what bitrate you're playing. So that's not really important, but just cool to see the lights change color. Then you can just plug in your IEMs or headphones like this and just give it a listen. So one thing about this is that I was saying that there is some volume discrepancy and imbalance at a low volume where one side may be more loud than the other side. So what you can do to combat this is that if you're using a phone, you can actually just reduce the level of your phone output over here like this. So you can see that this one allows you to reduce the level. So you can just maybe reduce it a little bit so that your volume knob here can go higher past the 9 o'clock and you should be good. Alright, so the sound impressions that I have. So this sounds pretty good. I feel that the current state of Chi-Fi or Chinese Hi-Fi has reached a level where it's actually pretty much competitive with what we expect from a hi-fi device. The sound quality is very good. There's no channel imbalance. The frequency response is very good. There's not much noise you can actually hear. If you use IEMs that are super sensitive, you may hear a little bit of background hiss. But with all other headphones and normal to drive stuff, I didn't feel that there was any hiss. Yeah, the specs are very good. Dynamic range is quite high. And what I feel is that it does what it's supposed to do, where it gives you some sort of tube flavor without getting too overboard. So I guess this is what I like about it. The tube character is not too strong where you will get sick of it after a while. If you just want to listen to something and just listen to it cleanly, this thing, it's clean but with a bit of flavor. So it's not too gooey and too tubey like what people imagine. Also, the tubes don't really impact the sound that much. If you change to a different tube, you may experience a kind of slightly different flavor, but it won't like change the sound stage a lot. It wouldn't change the frequency response a lot unless maybe your tube is broken. Because I guess for this kind of tube, as a preamp tube, it usually doesn't affect the sound as much as an amplifier power tube. So the changes are subtle, but if you can hear the changes, then you can just try different models of tubes, yeah, and have some fun with it. So I guess this is the most fun sounding and the most fun tube amp that I have tried so far, because it's totally not serious. It's not meant to be taken so seriously, but it does have some serious performance out of this little device. Alright, so let me just talk about what I liked about this after listening to it for a while with the stock tubes. So for this device, I guess the main draw is that it gives you the tube sound and the benefits of a solid state amp where you can use any kind of headphones. So if you were to buy a pretty cheap OTL headphone amp, usually you can't use low impedance headphones like your planar headphones or even IEMs, because those don't have enough impedance to run the tubes and you have distortion and very, very bad sound. So this overcomes that by giving you the benefits of the transistor plus the sonic characteristics of some little tubes over here. So the main draw is that the price is super cheap for this one. So this device, it's about 150 USD or about 210 Singapore dollars. So it has a built-in DAC also. So you just need this, and you can just plug it to your computer or your phone, and you can listen to music. So you can just treat this as a headphone amp with a DAC that is quite cheap. Or if you already have a DAC, you can just plug it into the back and then just use this as an amplifier. So I guess the biggest draw for me is the value for money, where you have a DAC plus the amplifier all in one for such a low price. The second thing that I loved about this is that the tubes are very cheap. They are the 6J1 or 5654 EF95, 6AK5 403. So all of these are the same kind of tube but different names. They are compatible with this, and you can buy them for pretty cheaply and swap them out to get different kind of tone. From changing the tubes, I've tried some of the EF95 and 5654 tubes, but I found that the best one I liked was actually the Western Electric 6AK5 or the 403A tubes. Those sound the most tubey, the most warm. The stock tubes actually also sound pretty okay, so I guess you don't really have to change them if you don't want to, but it's pretty affordable if you want to change the tubes for the sound. And the third thing that I like about this device is that the sound quality is pretty solid. So for me, how a tube amp should sound is, it shouldn't sound excellent, it should sound characteristic, it should sound tubey enough. So for me, what tube sound is basically some sort of distortion in the bass. So your bass is a bit more boomy, your bass is more full, and there's some distortion in the mids also, so the mids are a bit fuller. The highs are smoother with a bit of roll off, so you can feel like the vocalist is standing out in the sound, and I feel that this achieves that pretty well. It may not be the best kind of tube sound you can get, but at $200, I don't think you can get any tube amp that sounds like this. I don't think you can even get any other tube amp for $200. So I guess as a beginner amp, this serves its purpose very well. I mean, you don't even have to be a beginner. You can just use this pretty much all the way if you like this, because it can drive the harder to drive headphones. It has 1.3 watts of power. I haven't had any issues driving my planar headphones, and I think IEMs can work. The noise floor is very low, so I managed to use this on IEMs. The most sensitive IEMs, you may hear some hiss, but other than that, it's pretty much still usable, and you can just reduce the input volume on your device if you're using the built-in DAC, so that the volume control doesn't have the imbalance at the low volumes. So let's go on to what I didn't like about this unit. So like I said, the volume control has some channel imbalance at the low volume levels. So if you go past 9 o'clock, I guess it's perfectly safe. If you are very low down, then you might hear like one side being louder than the other side. You can overcome this by just reducing the volume of your device, your phone, or you can reduce the DAC input level if you're using an external DAC. So this one, it's an issue with the old one also. I think the MT600 series also had this volume imbalance thing at the super low volumes. And also one problem is that the gain of this amp is pretty high. So you pretty much need to always stay at the lower volumes. If not, you're gonna like blow up your headphones and blow up your head. So I think for most applications, you wouldn't go past 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. And I feel that they could have made this a little bit better, such that there's more attenuation, so you can turn up the dial higher and still get a lower volume level. Yep. Other than that, the power supply is a bit finicky. It feels like those cheap power supplies. I don't know how long it will last. The sound is pretty okay out of that. But the flexibility is that if you want to, you can upgrade to another power supply, because it's just a generic 12-volt power supply. So you just need a 12-volt 2-amp power supply and you're good. Alright, so another upgrade that can be done to this little tube amplifier over here is to actually change the tubes. So this is traditionally what's called tube rolling, where you actually replace the tubes for a different kind of sound. So what I have here is what I feel is one of the best tubes that you can use for this amp that accepts this kind of tube. So basically this is a Western Electric 6AK5 403A tube. So this one is made by Western Electric. So if you Google Western Electric, they made some of the best tubes. They make the 300B, and these are old vintage tubes. So these sound a lot better than the stock Chinese tubes over here. What I felt is that it's more clear, the sound is a bit more refined, it's more focused, and yeah, you can just change these out and change the character of the sound. So if you prefer the Chinese tubes, there's nothing wrong with them, they sound good. But if you want a slightly different flavor, I wouldn't say it's day and night better or worse. You can try these, or you can try any other sort of replacement tube that is a 5654 or 6AK5, 403A, EF95, and those all will fit. So basically you're looking for a 7-pin over here. So do check that it's a compatible tube before you put it in, because you may damage the tube or you may damage the amplifier if you use the wrong kind of tube. Alright, so the upgrades I've made for this, I have changed the tubes to the Western Electric 403As. So I feel that those tubes, I like the sound of those tubes. They give the bass a little bit more definition, yet being still the tubey full sound. The mids are still good, but the best part is that it actually makes everything sort of more precise. There is more detail in the sound. It's quite slight, it's not that much, but you can feel that everything is a little bit more focused, and the high end is a little bit more airy without being overly harsh. So I think this is the smoothest tube. The other tubes I tried, some EF95s, they tend to sound more like a solid state amp where the high end is more extended. You hear more, there's more detail, but then again, why are you using a tube amp if you want to make it sound like a solid state amp with all the detail in the world and all the best resolution in the world? So I think the Western Electric 403As give the best balance. It is not exactly very easy to find. The 403As are and 403Bs are not so common as the other 5654, so you can play around. Anyway, if you manage to find the tubes, they are not very expensive, you can just change them out and just play around. Yeah, they should be fine. One more thing that I upgraded on this, like I said, was the power supply. So it's just a universal 12-volt power supply, so I bought a linear power supply. So what the linear power supply has done is basically, I guess it has made the background a little bit darker to me. Might be placebo, but I feel that, I mean, it's a cheap upgrade. You can just get one cheap linear power supply and just upgrade the power supply that way. It should make the DAC sound better, the internal DAC, because there's less switching noise and less high frequency interference. Whether or not you can hear it, it's debatable, but I think, yeah, something you can try to upgrade the sound from this little box over here. Alright, so buy or not to buy, I would say that for 200 Singapore dollars or 150 USD, I think this is a strong buy in my books. Even if it just sounds like a very good DAC, I think it is worth it already. But there is the added benefit of tubes in here, which gives the extra character, extra analog feels to it. And nothing beats looking at the glow of this, even though the glow is somewhat from LEDs because the tubes don't glow that bright, but the tubes still glow a little bit. You leave it on your desk, there's this little orange glow, it just reminds you that it's analog, and it just makes you a little bit more happy and a little bit more engaged in your music, I guess, because everything is a little bit more visual. The knob is nice to turn, it's very tactile, and you just feel satisfied while using this device. The sound quality is excellent. I don't think that the sound quality is bad or anything. It is very good for what you're paying for it. If you want something better, you would have to spend significantly more, like maybe $500 and up, for like sound quality to be improved. And I guess most people at this stage, if you're a beginner, you can't really tell. So just get it and have fun with it. You may not need to upgrade this for a long time. If you're satisfied with this, I mean, you can stick with this because this can power even more difficult to drive headphones with this much power in it. And when you decide to buy a solid state amp, you can buy something more fancy in the future and still keep this as a little fun thing you can leave on the desk. Or maybe you can even put it in the office because it's so small, boss is not going to complain. And you can probably use IEMs or small headphones with this too. So yeah, a strong buy. And that's it for my review of the Xduoo MH-02. So this wasn't free, I bought it, I love it, and I'm probably not going to sell it anytime soon.